Man, I'm just finishing reading the book. It's been
Oh
out
shit.
for, let's see, December of 2025, right? Or
24.
2024?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Last I saw, you had 10,000 copies sold.
So I'm approaching 20. I'm close to 20. I'm like I think I'm at like 17 or 18,000. Yeah.
Self-published, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
That's remarkable. Like, I mean, people self-publish books, and then like, I think I saw one of your videos. Like, you were kind of expecting maybe, well, people were telling you to expect maybe like 100, 200 sales or something like that. Um, I mean, obviously, the power from the story itself, like you're telling a really, really incredible story that gives it a ton of momentum. What do you think has also helped, like really get it out there, man?
It's a lot of work, man. Like with so when you self-publish, everything is on you. I don't have an agent. I don't have anybody to help push my book out there. So everything is on you. When I was in the publishing process, I did a lot of things that probably weren't like the best financial decisions. So, for example, I was doing a lot of podcasts, but most of these podcasts I would fly everywhere. I mean, I went out to Utah multiple times. I went out to LA several times, New York, Montana. Like I was going all over the country. I took like 20 plus flights. I was sleeping in airports so I wouldn't have to pay for a hotel, all of those things just to try and get as much exposure out there as I could on all these different podcasts. And that was very expensive, but it gave me opportunities to tell yeah, it gave me opportunities to tell my story over and over and over again, and that
Mm,
was the helpful part. So I think that, like, when most people publish a book, especially self-published authors, they think that they're gonna put it on Amazon, and then people are just gonna go buy their book.
yeah,
Um, to this day, there's probably I think I've probably sold 5 or 10 copies by somebody just coming across my book on Amazon. I
mm,
would be willing to bet that literally almost every single one of my sales has come from somebody seeing a post that I made and then going and buying the book. So
yeah,
that's like the big misconception a lot of people think with publishing, because a traditional publishing route, they have all the resources, connections, and all those things to get your book in front of people, and then you know everybody's publishing books nowadays. So I don't really it's kind of saturated.
mhm,
To me, what's impressive is like not being performative and not just writing a book to write a book. It's having like a good message and purpose behind it. Um, I think a lot of people are very performative now. I think that a lot of people they are writing books just to call themselves an author, just to call themselves a
mhm,
published author. And so I didn't want to do that. I took this really long route of publishing my book and tried to do it the best way possible, to write the best story that I possibly could, in the best way for people to understand it and receive the message from the book.
mhm.
Um, and I think that's been a big piece of it too. I'm not a very performative person, so even when I do podcasts or if I go and do an interview somewhere or go to a speaking event, what you see is what you get. I'm not going to get up here and like kind of Andy Elliott this whole thing and take off my shirt and show you my abs and like, you know, that's not who I am. Like I just am who I am, and that like that real authenticity like
Yeah,
resonates. It resonates with people, and you can just tell
yeah,
when somebody's not being authentic, even if it's through writing a book. So yeah,
yeah.
long answer, but yeah.
It reads really well, man. Like, it's really authentic. Like, it's a really it's a story that's being told from a real dude, and that's it makes it so easy to read. It's a very challenging read because of the content, but it's really, really awesome, man. Like, when you were writing it, what was the process like for you? Like, was it cathartic to write the book itself?
So yeah, it's interesting. Writing, a lot of people tell you that journaling is a great tool for therapy and all that. And writing the book was basically a journaling process for me.
Yeah,
And I'm not into like sitting down and journaling things out, but writing the book was that. And it was just like you're saying, it was like very cathartic and therapeutic. It was like, because when you tell your story, I've done a ton of podcasts and I've done a ton of interviews and speaking events. And when I speak, it comes out my mouth unless it's being recorded, it's gone forever.
yeah,
And it takes like little to no effort to get words out of my mouth. And so it's like think before you speak kind of thing. But like it takes a little. This is like nothing just to talk about. I mean, it's helpful to talk, but it's nothing. When you write though,
Mhm.
writing and to write a story requires you to make sure that you've got everything in line,
Yeah.
all the details are right. You're not talking out of step or out of line because once you put it on paper, if I present this book to you, you can't read the book and then interpret what I'm saying. Like you only have what's in front of you. So if I don't write the story properly, you're going to read that book and you're going to be so confused about what's going on. So the point I'm making here is when I was writing my book, like you have to be so deliberate with every word you put on paper because that's it. Like that
Yeah.
nobody I can't sell my book and somebody's gonna call me and be like, hey, page 49, what do you mean right here? Because I'm a little confused. So I have to really explain exactly how I felt, exactly what was going on. You have to be very um uh you have to go really in depth when you're writing. And so that part was very therapeutic because like I had to sit there and it might take me 5 minutes to tell you a story about what happened to me as a child, but it might take me 20 or 30 or 40 minutes to write about it because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all this emotion on paper. It's easy to do it as I'm talking because I've got my hands, I've got my face, my body
Yeah.
language, I can move
Yeah.
around, inflection, all those things. But when you're writing, you don't have any of that. You just have the words. And so
Yeah.
it was really cool to be able to sit down and like document everything step by step and how it happened, all the emotions and the feelings, and that it was really like introspective. Maybe is that the word that I'm looking for? Like you're really reflecting on yourself and what you went through, and so
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of that was very helpful, and it made me remember a lot from my childhood. There are some parts of my book that I had completely forgotten about, and as I
Yeah.
was writing and telling my story, I was like, oh shit, I forgot all about this. Like, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that this thing happened. So yeah, it was crazy.
And then the weird experience when you're writing something and then it starts to flow through you. You're like, I fucking forgot about this shit.
Yeah, dude, that's how it is, man. It's crazy because, like, I mean, literally wrote my entire book in like a 3-day weekend. Like, I sat down like Friday, dude. Like I once I made the decision, kind of a long story, but I had wrote my book and deleted it like 3 times. And the
What?
third, yeah, because I didn't think anybody would care. I didn't want to like write this story and I didn't want to like get on the internet and cry about things. And I was just like really subconscious about it. But when I made the decision and I finally committed, I mean, I literally, dude, just like you said, I was just like locked in the matrix and I was just
I'm in there.
freaking, yeah, dude. So it was a cool process.
It's really cool that what's the guy's name? Mark from the White Underbelly. Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Mark.
Soft on underbelly.
Yeah. Did you meet him initially from doing the episode on his show?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Had you?
when I go ahead.
I was just going to ask how much had you spent telling your story before you wrote the book?
Yeah, so let me see. I published in December 2024. I started talking about my story publicly in like February of that year. So
Beforehand.
relatively, yeah. So
Okay.
like 10 months before I published the book, I started talking about it.
And publicly,
Um,
you mean like just like maybe hopping on the internet or like telling friends or going and speaking in groups and stuff or what?
yeah, literally, I just like I always wanted to write a book, and so one day I just got on TikTok and I made a little fucking 90-second video, and I was just like, "Hey guys, you know, I'm writing a book, and I was gonna wait to say this until my book came out, but I'm just gonna get it off my chest because I did have a lot of anxiety before my book. While I
You
was
had
like,
you had 3 days to say I'm writing a book because you wrote the book in 3 days, like on a
well,
weekend.
well, the okay, that probably came off a little weird. I wrote the entire book in 3 days, but it took like 9 months to do all the
Yeah,
editing and proofreading and all that. But
yeah,
when I made that decision to commit to that process, I was so anxious about my book coming out and like people having opinions of me. And so I just like cleared the air and I just got on the internet and one day I was like, hey, I'm recording a podcast this weekend with a couple friends of mine, and I'm just gonna like put this out there. But these things happened to me when I was a kid, and now I'm gonna start talking
mm,
about it to help other people. And I just
yeah,
like said that, and you know, it didn't really go anywhere. Like a few people saw it and people were like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." But then once I started doing podcast interviews and actually like pumping out content explaining what happened to me,
yeah.
um, it started to get more and more traction because it is such an intense story. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I just started telling the story. I mean, I'm still relatively new as far as like storytelling goes. I'm probably, when you write a book, they say you're supposed to push it and market it for, and really kind of try to sell the book for about 12 to 24 months. And so I'm
Yeah.
still in that new phase of a author and storyteller.
Yeah. Um, how can you talk to me about how much power the experiences you had lost over you when you really began to step into sharing your story?
Yeah. So
And maybe just for just maybe for people that are just listening to this and don't already know your story, like a kind of give them what they need to know to understand who you are.
yeah, basically, I grew up with a single parent household. My mother raised me and my three sisters, or me and my two sisters by herself. My father, he tried to kill my mother when I was a baby, so he went to prison for a long time. And my mother was raising me and my two sisters. She eventually got addicted, was abusive, violent, very, very, violent home, drugs and abuse. And then because of that, I was molested at 5 years old by a teenager. And then when I was 10 years old, I met a man outside of my home. His name was Mondo. And this is really where the meat and potatoes of the story, I guess, is when I was 10 years old, I met Mondo. And Mondo was a 30-year-old man who eventually sexually abused me from the time I was 10 until 16.
Mm.
And, that was basically every single weekend occurrence. Every single weekend I'd go to his house and he would abuse me and he would molest me. And, it was the full range of abuse. Everything that you could imagine happening to a child, I went through. Every little sexual encounter that you can have, I experienced by the time I was about 12 or 13 years old. And then by the time I was 16, I eventually reported him. He went to prison for 10 years. He
Good for
died
you,
in,
brother.
yeah, yeah, he died in 2019, um, while I was in Afghanistan. And then, that's basically what my book is about. It's about the childhood trauma, overcoming all of those things, and trying to become the best person you possibly can despite what you've gone through. And so
Yeah.
to kind of answer your question about, does telling the story, talking about it, kind of take away the power of all of the things that have happened to me, right? And it does. To answer your question, like short and blunt, yes, it does. The
Mm.
more you talk about things, the more you process things, the more you are vocal, or even if it's just writing, you don't have to come on a podcast. You can just talk to your spouse. You can talk to your friend. You could talk to a therapist about it. Whoever you're talking to, um, I kind of like think about entering the pain cave or kind of going up. I always think about the attic. This is like your attic. And if you go up inside anybody's attic, there's stuff up there that they haven't seen in years. And they know it's up there, it's dirty, it's messy, there's cobwebs, and you have to go up there and clean it out.
Yeah.
And the more you go up in there and you see everything that's in the attic, there's some boxes in there that you don't want to open up because there's some bad things in there. But the more you go and open those things up and you say, "Yep, this is what I got. These are my dirty dishes, this is my dirty laundry." The more you look at it, go through it, and you just start to accept it, like that's who you are, that's what happened, it is what it is. um, it does take away that pressure and anxiety of it all, So it does help a lot to talk about it.
What specifically does it remove? Like, does it remove some of the rumination of thoughts of like, I'm a bad person that this happened to me, or like no one wants to hear about it, or like what are some of the thoughts that people have that have experienced that then they might hear this and be like, I could be freed from these if I just got it off my chest to someone that loved me or a therapist or something.
Yeah, so I'll tell you from my point of view, I was the biggest thing that I was nervous about, honestly, because I'm a man. I look at myself like I'm this big. I've tried to emulate what a man is. I've got this beard and jujitsu and running ultra marathons and lifting weights. And I was in the army. I was in the infantry. And so my whole life I've tried to live. I love doing hard shit. I love doing just like demanding things. I love doing things that are impressive in some regard. And while I do all of those things, my biggest fear was that somebody would find out what happened to me and think that I was gay or think that I enjoyed it or think that I
Mm.
wanted those things to happen. That was my biggest fear, honestly.
Mm.
And it's not that I thought that I was gay or that I questioned my own sexuality. That is a thing that happens. It never happened for me, but I was worried that other people would have this perception of me.
Hmm.
And so when I started talking about it, and then I realized, like, I mean, you're going to have your trolls, which are fine, but in the grand scheme of things, like, nobody, like, when I told my story, nobody cared about what happened to me, and it's not that they didn't care about what happened to me, but they're like, "Seth, we don't look at you any differently, bro." Like,
Yeah,
I showed up at the gym to do jujitsu, and my buddies came up to me, 4, 5, 6, 10 guys come up to me, and they're like, "Bro, holy shit, man." They're like, "You're fucking awesome, man. Like, I can't
yeah,
believe you went through all that." And they're shaking hands, giving hugs, and they're dapping me up, and that was like, I was like, "Oh my god." I was taken aback. I wasn't expecting the support that I got out of my jujitsu friends once they heard my story, and I still get it today. Like, almost weekly, somebody will walk up to me and be like, "Holy shit, man! I saw you on the internet. Like, I saw your story. This is crazy." A lot of respect. So um, that's what I've gotten publicly, you know. And then in your personal life, for people who don't share publicly, um, so you will develop, like you said, you'll develop these feelings that I'm a bad person, or that I let this happen, or that whatever. And if you don't talk about that, you can't dispel those myths. Okay. Um, if you came to me and you said, "I feel like I'm a bad person," or "I feel like it's my fault because I kept going back," most people will tell you, "You were just a child. It's not your fault. Don't
hmm,
think about that." And it's like this very surface level thing. While me being a child was certainly true and it was not my fault, one thing that I have done and that I try to get other people to do when they tell me they feel like it's their fault is I'll say, "Well, why do you feel like it's your fault?"
hmm,
And they say, "Well, because I kept going back and I didn't say anything." Again, this is where I think a lot of people mess up. They'll stop right there and they'll say, "Well, it's not your fault. Like, you were just a child." And I'll go deeper and I'll just say, "Well, why didn't you say something?" A lot of people look at that like victim blaming, victim shaming. They're like, how dare you ask the victim a question like that?" But they are trying to process what happened to them. So let's go to that point. Why did you go back? Why didn't you say something? "Well, I didn't go back because of this and this and this. And I didn't say something because of all of these reasons." Okay, well, there's your truth right there,
hmm,
right? We know it's not your fault. You just can't figure out why it's not your fault because you haven't gone into that place and thought about it and processed it. If you just leave it on the surface and you just feel like everything's your fault, well, why do you feel like it's your fault? Could you have done something? I know in my story, I could have done something, and that's a painful truth to admit. I voluntarily went back to my abuser's home. You know,
hmm.
I protected him. When people ask me, "Is he doing anything to you?" I told them, "No, he's not like that." And now I'm not saying it's my fault. Again, I was a child and I was being manipulated and I was scared. Those are all the
Exactly.
reasons why I said those things. But the
Yeah,
truth is the truth. And the truth is there were things that I could have done. I could have just elected to stop going back to his house, but I didn't. And that when you accept both of those truths, that's
hmm,
really what starts to help. I think you help you heal. Um,
yeah. Because that's the
again,
reality of the situation.
yeah, yeah,
That's the reality of it.
it is, and it sucks. The truth sometimes it just sucks, and we try to dance around it. You know, I think you talked about Mason Sawyer right recently,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's one thing that he said about grieving is like there's a book that he talks about, and I reference it now as well. But in the book, the guy says, or when something really bad happens to somebody, a lot of times we say, "I don't know what to say to you." Like, there's no words that I could say. I can't find the words. And it's very important to find the words for these really horrible situations. And sometimes the best and only words you can find is "that shit sucks." Like, that
Mhm.
really, really sucks really bad. Like, you lost your entire family in a car crash. Like, what do you say to that person? "That
That shit
sucks."
sucks. Yeah,
That shit sucks, man. I'm sorry. That fucking sucks. Is there anything I can do for you? I tell you my
yeah,
story, and it's like, man, that sucks. You know, that
yeah,
really sucks. And so, um, yeah, I think that's yeah,
yeah. The something that I would love to hear more from you, man, on is your perspective on the it's a sensitive label, but victimhood,
yeah,
survivor stuff,
yeah.
and how that can be nice in some way, but also maybe limiting, and where you stand on using that word and how you view yourself in this process.
Yeah. So I know that the world has coined that term, survivor as a like a term of strength, and they try to, we are not victims anymore, we're survivors, right? But so many people identify as survivors that they maybe not relish, but they sit in that, right? And they're okay with survivor. I'm a survivor. Well, I don't want to I don't go to anybody and tell anybody that I'm a survivor of anything. That's not who I am. And this one of the things that helped me the most was changing my identity and doing something that I'm proud of. When you tell somebody you're a survivor of some sort of trauma, there's not really like a badge of honor that comes with that. There's not a some sort of award. You don't get to get up on a stage and say, "Hey, this person had the most traumatic childhood of 2026." Let's give them, there's nothing that comes with that. There's no pride, So it's like
Do
I
you
don't
smile when you receive that reward? Do you give a speech? Like,
yeah, but dude, it's funny you say that. Do you smile? Because that's what it's come to now. The world has come to how much more traumatic was my life than yours,
Yeah.
and how much more trauma do I have than you?
Mm,
And you need to validate my trauma because if you don't, then you're a blamer or a shamer
yeah.
or you're attacking me. And so I'm trying to help people break that mold. I don't want people to live in this again, this survivorship or this victimhood. So that's why I encourage people to go out and do things to earn titles instead of living with the labels of that life has given you. You got these labels where life things happen to you in life. And yet, am I a survivor of trauma and sexual abuse and all these things? Yes, I absolutely am. But those are like labels that were kind of stamped on me. And then I've gone out and earned other titles. I've gone out and earned things that I'm very proud to talk about, you know,
Yeah.
and that was the big thing for me. I want to tell people like, man, you want to, yeah, my childhood sucked, but like I also ran 100 miles one time. You want to hear about that? Like that's pretty badass, or
yeah.
lifting weights or competing in
Seven
jujitsu or go ahead.
7 times, right?
I ran one 100 miler. I've run seven total ultra marathons. Yeah.
Uh,
So in 2024, I started running the ultra marathons. Um, and a lot of that again was it's this whole identity thing. It's like I want to go out there and show people that, yeah, man, I've been through so much shit in my life and I'm still
Yeah.
choosing to go out here and to suffer. That's like the whole chosen and unchosen suffering thing.
Some Goggins shit, man.
Yeah.
It's seems like the survivor thing is it is a it is a representation of your strength. Like I think about all the times in the book you mentioned suicidal ideation and like just how difficult it was to stay here for this. And I think that speaks to a lot of the strength in the heart and the courage it took to be here. And so the survivor thing does ring true for a moment. I think maybe, like maybe you could let me know your thoughts on this, but like maybe it's just not the place to stay. Like, like you're a survivor of this experience because you're so fucking strong. Now, how can you take that knowledge you have about yourself and what you've been through to then go and attack the next thing and to really see how much you can flourish in your life because of the strength you've witnessed on yourself through that pain?
Yeah, man. I think it's incredible to, like you said, to survive tragedy, but
Yeah.
it's so much more incredible. We are not inspired by trauma. Nobody looks at me and says, "Man, I want to be a survivor," just like Seth. I want to
Good point.
survive trauma. They are inspired by the things that you do despite your trauma. Okay, like that's it, man. Like I'm telling you, man, when I was running my races and you're running for 8, 10, 12, 24 hours, whatever, 30 hours.
Which is so fucking long. Like, bro, sit down.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's crazy. But when you're doing that, like you have conversations with people, and bro, when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you've been running for 24 hours or whatever, you start to go, people are like, man, why are you out here? you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so I'll tell them like, man, this is I relish in this pain. I relish in the suffering because of where I've come from. And so again, you hear that somebody ran 100 miles and it's like, wow, that's impressive. And then you hear like why they've gone and done that and all the things they've gone through to get to where they're at right now. So that's why the survivorhood mentality, that survivor mentality says that I have gone through so much in my life. I don't have to do anything else anymore because of what I have endured as a child. And then you end up having morbidly obese, depressed,
Mm,
anxious, addicted people because they have survived. They have already gone through the pain. They don't want to experience more. So again, last thing I'll say there is that I try to get people to say, "Man, you've gone through hell. Keep fucking going. Like get back in the fight. Choose a little bit more. Stick that piece of raw iron back in the fire, pull it out and strike it and keep fucking going. Keep changing yourself. Keep getting better. Keep challenging yourself. Get back in
mm.
the fire."
There's something so powerful about that, man. You have seen how strong you are, and so you have the like. And this is spoken from someone who hasn't had that experience that you're talking from, but just gleaming from what you're saying, like you have the almost advantage of seeing just how fucking resilient your soul is and how much you can handle and not fall apart, or the ability to fall apart and be rebuilt again through your own um, choices. And so just imagine what you can bring to others. Just imagine the love that you can free in the world. Just imagine the business you can create and the book you can write and the art you can bring to life, or the way you can love those in your life in a way that's energized from the experience that you had. Even.
Yeah, that thing you said right there in the beginning of that, having the perspective to know what I've gone through and what I can survive. That is a gift in its own. To know how resilient you are,
Mm,
but you can't know how resilient you are unless you have been tested, right? You cannot say that you can resist temptation unless you have been tempted. So the temptation to quit, the temptation to quit. If you are not a quitter, how do you know you're not a quitter?
mm,
Go out and run. Go out and run right now. Go run 10 miles. Will you quit or not? Because the temptation is there. The temptation to quit is there before you even start. So to call yourself resilient or strong or tough, however you want to call it, you cannot call yourself those things unless you have gone through something that would prove that you are those things. And sometimes, again, this is chosen or unchosen. Sometimes we go through life and we are given that gift of adversity. We're given that gift of trauma. We are given that gift, of bad things happening. And it is a gift because when you come out the other side, you know, oh my God, okay, if I can survive this, I can survive this next thing. So no matter
mm.
what happens to me in this life, I'll never, there's nothing that will ever hold me down. It does not
Oof.
matter what happens to me. I know that I can get back up and keep going because of the things that I have gone through. And because of the things that I have gone through, when I see other people do things, I'm like, I can go and do that. I went through fucking hell as a child for 16 years
Mm,
and I hung on. I can run 100 miles. I can do it again. I can go and lift weights and I can go and do whatever it is I want to do. I can go write a best selling book because I've gone through the things that have made me who I am today. And the people who have not suffered, right? The people who have lived with relatively easy lives, that is the unfortunate thing for them. Is like,
mm,
man, you think, when you go through trauma, you think, why is my life like this? Like, why did I have to go through so much pain? But what a shame it would be to like live a life and not know pain and not understand pain and not know what it's like to be scared and defeated and losing and unsure of the future. Like, what a shame or sad, cold life it would be to not feel those things, to
mm,
only feel good things. You would,
mm.
if you went through life and you only had good things happen, you wouldn't even appreciate them. This is the thing
Yeah,
we see everywhere, right? You see
yeah.
people who have everything, and it's like, man, you don't even know what you have. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they get mad about the socks that I buy them or the blankets that they have, and it's like they're so young, right? They're so young that I can't articulate that in a way, but I do tell them, there are kids at your school who don't have blankets. There are kids at your school who don't have shoes or who don't have clothes, who don't have food in their refrigerators. You
Yeah.
have to understand how blessed and how lucky you are in this life. But sometimes the only way you can figure that out is by going through hard things. Again, some of us, life hands you lemons. Some of us, you have to go and find it, right? You have to go and find the
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
So that is it is a gift at the end of the day.
My man, it's like so clear to me that you have done the work to like go into your heart and metabolize the pain you've experienced and bring a light to the world through this. It's so awesome to hear you talk about this, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I get fired up. You can tell. So
Yeah, the like the really powerful thing that you said. I know what I can do because I know what I've been through.
yeah, yeah.
That's the gift, man, for somebody that's dealing with this and like, what do I like kind of in the victim place, like what I've gone through this and now I'm at a disadvantage because of this. And now I have to process all this pain and deal with all this before I get out into the world and start doing my thing. But that's a really powerful perspective, bro.
And that's like getting off the couch. You have so many people that want that you tell them, you need to take care of yourself physically. You need to go exercise, and they say, "Well, I can't get off the couch because my mental health is so bad that I can't do anything physically." And I would argue that it's the inverse. I would say that your physical health is so bad that you can't do anything mentally. Like
Mhm.
you need to, as soon as you get outside and you start moving, and that's again, I go back to that, right? It's like, well, why can't you get off the couch? Well, I'm depressed because of my childhood and I went through all these things. So you mean to tell me you survived all that shit? You survived everything you went through for years, and now you give up. Now you quit. Now
Mhm,
you're done. Now that you have
mhm,
gone through it, now you're done. Don't
mhm.
give up, man. Like keep fucking going, man. Go and live the life that you want to live. Go and do the things you want to do. So I get
I love it,
that's
man.
my go-to. Yeah.
Do you think that another sentence to add on to that hype up speech to the guy on the couch is like, if you didn't, it happened for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a waste. Yeah.
What a fucking waste, man. They're like, and this is just the way I kind of think about these situations, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it. Like the idea that energy can't be created nor destroyed, like that was such a dark, negative, energetic experience that you had, and it's in your body in a way, kind of the
Mm.
body keeps the score type situation. And so you're either gonna let that keep going down, or you're gonna decide to make it be a powerful push for you in your life. Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible. I've actually never thought about that. I'm gonna have to write that down because
Yeah.
that's such an incredible, what do you call it? Like a metaphor analogy to life is that this energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So
Yeah.
everything that you went through, it's in you.
Yeah.
You just have to turn it into something else.
100%. Yeah, it's
So
like the slingshot shit. You got pulled back. However far you got pulled back, that's how far you launch.
yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
That's what I see, man, when I see you, bro. And and I was talking to my girlfriend last night about this. That I think that the release on that kind of the energetic transformation of sorts,
Yeah.
because I see it with you, man, and like reading your book and just like talking to you now, it's so clear that you're on that process of flipping it on its head. And it seems to be that the linchpin is the moment of acceptance. This is what happened. This is where I am.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you know what's crazy too with that is like as I'm thinking about a slingshot and the way it operates and the way you're talking about this, is you're getting pulled back and it's this process and you're getting pulled back and it's just a moment in time when you release, right? You release that slingshot. It's just this moment. It's not this like it takes forever to release. It's just as soon as you let it go, you let that
Yeah.
thing go, boom, and now you're forward, right? And
Yeah.
I mean,
Unstoppable.
yeah, I mean, people have asked me this questions I get all the time is like, what's the process of healing? Where did you start? How long did it take to get better, etc. Um, it's not like a destination. I didn't
Yeah.
get to this, platform where I'm like, oh, I'm healed now. I've done 3 months of therapy and I'm healed. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah. Graduation from therapy.
right. Well, dude, I mean, that's the thing that people are looking for when they go to therapy or or they read a book or they go to a therapist and they'll say, "Well, how long is it going to take until I'm better?" It's like, "Hey, brother, you're on this train for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah.
this is a continuous process. So
Yeah.
it's just this moment that you make the decision to start being better, then you start making progress. So
Yeah. My man, you are unstoppable, brother, and I'm so proud of you for what you're doing with this. I'm so grateful for your story, and I'm so inspired, like you mentioned, not by the trauma, but by the power of the human heart and your decision to turn it around and to do something so magnificent. When you go and speak, what's your message? Like, what do you tend to share with people so much?
yeah, a lot of my clients or the audiences that I go and speak to, they are looking for hope. So that's the big thing that I speak about is hope. It's just holding on. It's going to eventually, the pain is going to subside. You just got to hold on. And I think for hope, I'll tell you from experience, like as a child and as a man, people like me needed to see proof. I needed proof that there was a way that I could survive. I think I wrote about it in the book. I certainly talk about it a lot when I read the book A Child Called It.
Yeah.
That book gave me insight, and it said, "Okay, Seth, like you I knew that when I was 10 years old, I would be a published author one day. I knew it. I would either write a book or there would be a movie about me." And it wasn't in vain. I didn't think about it in vain, but I knew that if this book made such an impact on me, then I could certainly do the same thing and help other people. And so it gave me hope, is what I'm getting at here. When I was 12 years old, I was at my grandparents' house. They had adopted me at this point, and I was watching football highlights on YouTube, and all the classic football highlights that they used to put out. And I came across a motivational speaker. His name's Eric Thomas. I was 12 years old. I watched Eric Thomas deliver the how bad do you want it and how bad do you want to be successful story.
Yeah.
He talks about the guru, the beast holding him underwater. How bad do
Yeah.
you want to breathe, bro? I was 12 years old. I was locked in, and after he delivers that story, he talks about how he was homeless. He grew up with a single parent household. He was eating out of trash cans. He dropped out of high school, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, if this
Yep.
guy can go on this stage and tell this story, and I can feel it right now. I can feel that my body is like, I can
Mm.
feel it. And so I said, if he can produce that kind of feeling in somebody through a screen or through a stage, through an audience, then I can do the same thing with my story. And so at 12 years old, I kid you not, I had the expectation and the hope that I would be a speaker one day and I would share my story on stages to help other people. And lo and behold, 20 years later, or I guess 15 years later, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And that was that's the message that I try to give other people now in two ways. I'd say that people that have gone through what I've gone through, there is a positive side of life. I would say that I offer that story and that way of getting to that positive side of life. But then the people who work with people like me, right? So any of the first responders, that's like a big part of my audience, my client list, I guess you could say, or social workers, things like that, nurses. I talk to those people a lot, and I tell them that when you walk into those rooms and you have that victim, that child who's just desperate for, they just need a light. They're in a dark tunnel. They just need a light. They need something to hang on to. They need somewhere to look to, somewhere to go. You are that person. So that's my message to the first responders, and I'm
Yeah.
so passionate about that because I don't know if you came across it, but I I found the police officer who handled my case, and I have such a deep appreciation for him and the way he
Mm.
handled that case. And so when I go and speak to people, I tell them, because I thought about Chad Couples from Bluffton, Ohio. I thought about him every single day for my entire life. Every single day, I thought about him and what he did for me that day when he stepped into that
Mm.
emergency room.
Yeah.
And so that's the big message that I give for the people who have gone through it. That there's another side of life, but those who are helping people get through it, that you are the absolute light, the rock that that person needs.
Yeah.
And I am proof that the work that you do matters.
You're the proof, baby.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome. I think one really cool last thing for us to just throw in here is that, like the takeaway from all this is that there is power in pain and challenge. That's where the power comes from. That's like, if we're using the slingshot analogy, we're going to beat that one to death. And like the
Yeah.
powers and the pullback, and like some people, unfortunately, like there's a obviously horribly difficult experience whenever you are subjected to being pulled back and others aren't. Why the fuck does this happen to me? This is bullshit. Until you, like this man has done, decide, no, this is happening for me, and now here's my chance to bring this love to the world. And then you turn that shit around. If you have lived life with nice socks and TV and cereal on Saturday mornings, then the power is still available to you, because pain and challenge is always available to you. It's just chosen. So get out there and work on something hard. Get out there and just go tap into some pain. Maybe it's a run, maybe it's an ice bath, maybe it's just doing as many push-ups as you can today, or having a really hard conversation. How about that? Because that's probably one of the most challenging things that we can do. So if you're listening to this and you're like, that's an incredibly dope story, and in some way you're like, I wish I had a cool story. It's all about the whole story is turn the pain into power and use it for good, which is exactly what Seth's doing and what we can all do.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, you had mentioned when you're pulling this thing back or you're getting dragged back in life, sometimes you think, why is this happening to me? And I think that a lot of people try to find purpose. You know, why did this thing happen to me? And, I don't, I think I have probably a different take than most people. I don't look at it like I went through anything for any reason. I don't think that I went through these things so that I could be here today. I think that I have given myself the purpose. Okay. I think
Mm,
everybody has a whiteboard. You have this whiteboard up on the wall, and whatever you want to do in life, you just put it on that whiteboard and you make that your purpose. My purpose is my family. My purpose is my kids. My purpose now is to inspire other people because, purpose is everything outside of you. It's not for you, it's for everything outside of you. Your passion is in here. Your
mm,
passion is for you. Your purpose is for the world. And so you want to feel purpose. Well, you have to do things to feel purpose. Like you just do. Passion is for you. Is for others. So if you feel less than, you feel behind, you feel like you said, people don't want to go out there and choose the suffering. You go out there and you choose those things and you accomplish things and you go through hard things, your mind will reward you. Humans, as much as we want comfort, we are so rewarded by the pain. We are so rewarded by the suffering, right?
yeah.
Everybody hates running. Nobody loves running. Running sucks, man. But when you go out there and you put a smile on and you fucking run 100 miles and you get done, you'll tell the whole world. It's like the meme of the guy who's a Marine, right? You go 5 minutes without telling somebody you're a Marine and your head's about to explode. Yeah, why? Because there's so much suffering that comes with being a Marine. You're so proud
Yeah.
of the things that you've gone through. So yeah.
Yeah. Seth, you're the man, and sincerely, thank you so much for your story and the way you decided to work with the energy life's given you. It's so awesome to witness you on this path, and to I'm just cheering you on, brother. So thanks for encouraging me today. Thanks for encouraging the listeners of Let's Keep Talking. And where can people learn more about you? Obviously, Strength Beyond the Shadows on Amazon. You can get it there. On your Instagram, where can they find you? Where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, really, Instagram is probably the best place. Yeah, it's just my name, Seth Gale. I have a website as well.
Gale is
yeah,
spelled Gehle.
yes, sir. Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, Amazon's where my book's at. If you read it, please leave a review. I'm almost at 1,000, so that's pretty incredible. Yeah, man, reach out if you have any questions, you want to talk. Go do fucking great things in life. And thanks for having me on.